we're missing various parts of the equation to know definitively where things are going. And that, whoa.
All right, hold on a second.
No. Look, Joe Biden just took the lead in Wisconsin.
Right. We're getting new information.
Yeah. We'll go through.
Pull it all the way out. Votes are coming in right now. Let's pull all the way out to the state of play here and let's see what's going on, because we're getting I know that's what Phil Mattingly. We're getting new information in right now, and one of the things you don't get to see is actually what's going on in my head with all the different voices, and that's before I'm on television. But tonight we just got new information in on Wisconsin, and it has changed the state of play in the state for now. Okay, right now Joe Biden is 11,381 votes ahead with 89% estimated reporting. Two questions. Where did it come from and what is left? What can we answer?
So let's start with this baseline. Before this information dump came in, Donald Trump was up by 109,000 votes. Now Joe Biden is up by 11,381.
Where did those votes come from? Oh, I thought that was the end of the video. Where did those votes come from? That is a very good question by Mr. CNN there.
Yeah. Oh, beats me. Sometimes I just open my drawer and then I just find all.
Just find
votes for Biden.
120,000 mail-in votes for Biden.
Yeah.
Just
Sometimes I'll
behind the
be
dumpster.
relaxed. Yeah. I'll be relaxing in my living room and just 1,000 votes for Biden just come down my chimney.
Very interesting. Well, anyways, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Endeavour News. We're going to be covering the lead up to the US presidential election.
The 2020 election was really close.
Some random things started playing. We'll be leading up to the 2024 presidential election between Harris and Trump. Joe Biden's gone. Sleepy Joe's having his final nap. He's no longer in the race. They've replaced him with Harris, but Trump is still around. Donald Trump is still the candidate for the Republicans, and it looks like it's going to be a close election. And we're going to look into the data now, so that leading into the election, you'll be informed and you'll know what to look for. We're going to leave it to Gil to give a more in-depth explanation of the US election and what's at stake.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. So I mean, so much is at stake here. I mean, even if you view the differences as being, inconsequential between the two, I mean, I think it's absolutely clear that there is a difference. So this does make it actually a very important election still, especially when people are on all sides of the equation are so radicalized. But yeah, I mean, just from what we've experienced in 2016 to 2020 up till now with Harris is like, does anybody really believe that she's really so popular that she is actually tying with Trump? I think it's pretty clear. I mean, Biden was a bit of a that was I don't think people were very genuinely enthused with him, but Harris, that's like a whole nother kettle of fish, really. But in any case, be that as it may, that this is the polling we're getting so far, and it probably will be pretty tight. So we're gonna get into all of that and stuff, but just at the offset, it's like we're already hearing, things of already at this stage in the game. We're hearing about election rigging and funny things going on. So yeah, it's like it's a real worry. So that's going to be a test to see whether the Trump supporters can really do enough to prevent this from happening, from it being stolen again. But it's also kind of interesting. Like I was thinking, it's of course you've got the Democrats, and now they have more of a need to rig it more than ever, right? I mean, because they've got this extremely unpopular candidate. There's a lot of panic that they're finding it hard to deal with Trump. We've already got evidence of rigging coming out now, so that's like a really important thing, right? But I mean, another thing to consider is how in 2016, um, the Israelis actually intervened on Trump's behalf. And to what extent, I can't really remember how much it actually swayed Trump in the elections, but it wasn't a Russia collusion; it was more like an Israeli collusion, and so that's something to consider. Obviously, looking at the start of the video, we saw um, that there was clear, funny business going on. Like the whole world could see it on Biden's behalf. We could see that. But now, given that Trump has been so vociferous, perhaps more than ever before, certainly more than 2016, I think he's been so vociferous in his support for Israel, and we know the kind of deep state Mossad connections that the U.S. has with Israel. It's a bit more iffy now. I feel about where this election is going to go, given that they interceded it on Trump's behalf in 2016, but there also seemed to be a lot of messing around with the polls on behalf of Biden in 2020. So given that, it's kind of like we're seeing it as very tight now. Um, but it's kind of anyone's guess, I would say, about who has the stronger sort of rigging abilities. Because I mean, he's Trump. Trump is. I mean, they're both very pro-Israel, but I feel like the Trump administration this time is going to be just that more edgier, and getting that support. So I feel like he has more of the mandate of approval from Netanyahu and the Mossad, if you know what I mean. So it is quite interesting though, because the Democrats still feel that they need to survive with this. So it's kind of up to them to pull their candidate through, if they can, through whatever tricks they have in the book. So that's just an interesting dynamic to be aware of. That it seems like there is a bifurcation of power interests in the United States, from what I can tell. Or you might be able to see that too. What I'm talking about. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. But maybe in the end, yeah. So who knows? I would just say that could go anyway, and that's sort of a dynamic or a paradigm to be aware of in this election. Certainly, at the end of the day, we'll just have to look at the WIMPAS states in particular. But Hector, did you have any thoughts on that, or any ideas?
Yeah, leading into so if we look at the polls now, like it's sort of interesting that it's so close because if you remember back in the lead up to 2022, like there was all these polls saying like Joe Biden was like 10 points in front and all this sort of stuff, and they're like, oh, Joe Biden's definitely going to win. And so when the results on 2020 are actually surprisingly close, I think a lot of people were surprised that instead of being 10 points ahead, like they were saying in the polls, if I go to this tab here, so here's the 2020 election polling in the lead up to 2020, right? Look, you got people saying Biden's 10 points ahead, 9 points ahead, 8 points ahead, 11, 12 points ahead. Massive. Like, it would have been an absolute blowout. But in reality, the results were, I mean, without rigging, he was up by 4 points. So like half a lead. The polls were still they're overestimating Biden's support back in 2020, and they overestimated Clinton's support in 2016. So if the polls are underestimating Trump's support again, I think
Mm.
it's there's like a good chance it could be like Trump could actually be, instead of it being a dead tie, Trump could be up by 3 or 4 points, which would be sort of crazy if that's true. I mean, that's not guaranteed, but the last two elections have shown that trend to be sort of true, that Trump underpolls on the opinion polling than he does on actual election day. So,
Yeah, that's a really good. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a very important angle for everybody to be aware of. That they do underpoll him quite significantly. and that'll definitely play into this as it has the past two times. So yeah, that's something to be aware of, especially as the mail-in ballots come in, because as I understand, the
Yeah,
Republicans
here's
tend to.
this now. So
Mm,
this is the early voting vote. So this is the mail-in ballots for 2024. So Republicans and Democrats are tied, which was definitely not the case last time. Because if we look for the mail-in votes for here for 2020, the Democrats were ahead of the Republicans by 6% instead of now it's only 1%. So it seems like in early voting and mailing in polls, the Republicans are doing a lot better.
mm,
So
mm,
that is also again, it's again, it's like sort of interesting there that that trend has sort of shifted. When you'd think, Republicans will and sort of have been more skeptical of mail-in voting because it is sort of dodgy. Like that's
mm,
like
mm,
what the
mm,
mailman like could just feel like they want to steal your vote if they see it's like registered Republican if they're like some
mm,
Democrat or something. Like it seems like a sort of flawed system fundamentally.
mm,
So it is interesting
yeah,
that there are more votes, mail-in votes for Republican this time. So again,
mm,
I mean, if Republicans are underperforming in the mail-in votes, then they did in the last two elections, but they're dead tied. On election day, they'll probably be up by quite a bit if
mm,
that trend continues. I mean, it might not, but it seems sort of likely that it will.
yeah, yeah. I don't have the graphic here, but in terms of all groups, except maybe a few like Black women. Um, I think he's doing, yeah, better with a lot of demographic groups as well. Not by like shockingly heaps, but enough to where it's actually quite noticeable uh, with various groups of people. So yeah, that is quite because they forward them as the minority people's party basically, but it seems like they're even, from what we can tell, and sorry, I don't have the graph here, but you just have to take my word for it, but or search it up yourself. But yeah, it seems like they're kind of even slipping in support
Well, there's this.
for
I mean,
yeah.
compared to 2016 to 2020, Trump actually did gain support for minorities from like blacks and Mexicans and Hispanics
Mm,
and whatever. But the problem was he lost like a point or two with white voters, so it didn't matter.
yeah, and that's really the kind of group you need to turn out. That is like the most
Well, it's the
important group.
largest group, like as
Yeah,
a voter base, like 70% of the US voters are, white. So it
you
is
need
sort
to.
of a group you want to appeal to.
Yeah, that is the group you want to go for. Like this just goes like I was gonna say, like adding on, joining on to what you were saying, like even though we are seeing these slight percentage shifts, towards Black and Latinos, especially like Black men, um, it doesn't justify. To me, it's quite obvious that it doesn't justify Steve Bannon's campaign of this multiracial working class populism where they really shilled for all these other groups and just completely ignored their white voters, which is like their bread and butter. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
because they did that. That's probably why they lost 2 percentage points with white voters in 2020, and that's what ended up making them lose in like
yeah,
states like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, where Trump needed to win the White House.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Which is a damn yeah. That's a real and they're still continuing
Yeah, it
on
still
that
happens. I
thread.
mean, even Trump himself, because I think it was a debate with Kamala. It's like these illegal immigrants, they're taking jobs away from Black Americans, they're taking
Yeah.
jobs away from Hispanic Americans, and then he just
Uh,
stops. I'm like, well, what about white Americans? You sort of like missed a group there.
yeah, or why not if everything is fair and equal, why not just say Americans? But yeah, if you're gonna say that, why not white America? But yeah, and I mean you see this sort of same streak, this ridiculous streak in the RNC where they had all kinds of strange types,
Oh, well,
um,
that Republican Congress thing, their national convention, it was just, yeah, all these like black Republicans just coming on one after the other. It's
my
like,
mama
my
gave me
mama
fried
told me
chicken.
I needed to go to college, and then I got lots of money, and now I'm voting for Donald Trump because he has lots of money too. And that's sort of like, you had like 10 of these people come up one after the other. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, I was like going, why are they having the same guy come up 10 times, go back and forth? Just finish your speech and let someone else talk.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like so it's pretty silly, man. It's pretty silly. But that's I was like, sorry, is this the Democrat Party? Like the Democrat convention? I thought this was Republican. Yeah, but yeah, so they're continuing on that vein, and it's actually destroying them. It's like you need to shill for your white. That's the only answer. And actually, in response, the Harris and Walz campaign was very smart, and actually they were shilling for white voters. Instead, if you looked at how they made a quick switch in the last, I don't know, what would have been like 5 months leading up
Hmm.
to this election, they're wearing like army camo hats and,
I saw the
you
same
know,
thing with the Labour Party in the UK. I mean, obviously they don't believe it, but the
no,
Labour Party in the UK essentially ran like more ads with white people in them than the Conservative Party did.
mm,
And I
oh
think
yeah,
I think that helped, considering also the leader of the Conservative Party was an Indian.
yeah, right, yeah, exactly, and I don't know how much that works, but yeah, clearly it's purely just a veneer and nothing else. I think the average person is kind of, or maybe not, but a lot of people are smart enough, I think, to realize that, yeah, you've spent all this time being like very anti white and cultural Marxist and stuff. And then now all of a sudden you like switch it up so yeah, it's,
Well,
I don't know. I
they
don't know
tried to
how much.
like shove around. They tried to show around Tim Roltz like he was some sort of like white redneck. It's like it
That's
was
right.
obviously trying to appeal to the white voter base with selecting Tim
Yeah.
Waltz as the VP. I mean, there's a lot
Yeah.
of reasons not to like Tim Waltz.
Yeah.
Many of them, but
Mm,
he at least has this caricature, like pretends to be some, I just want to shoot my gun and drink some beers, that
yeah.
sort of thing. But
Yeah.
obviously that's
The
not really
football,
true.
the,
Yeah, and
the
I
football coach.
watch my sports ball and shoot
Yeah.
my gun.
Yeah. We love football. Yeah. 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 It's like, and a
Like
teacher.
trying to
Yeah.
say he's like Hank Hill or something, but it's not quite the case with Tim Waltz.
That's right. Run Hank Hill as VP.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of
That's
what the
good.
Democrat Party tried to do, but
Yeah.
obviously it's not quite a one-to-one there. But it's sort of interesting because I do maintain JD Vance is a pretty terrible choice for
Oh,
VP. So at least like the Democrats put a little bit more thought into their VP pick than the Republicans did.
yeah. I have heard actually that I think I did see that it was actually Tucker Carlson. Originally, Trump wasn't going to pick Vance. It was actually Carlson that like pressured him. I think even like threatened him slightly to take him. I'm not to choose Vance as his VP. So and Trump that excuse me, Carlson is in, with that weird crowd of Silicon Valley. He has his connections.
Yeah, the
Carlson is
PayPal
a very,
Mafia, whatever they're
that's right.
called. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he's a very his connections spread far and wide. He's a very this character, but with all the wrong people, of course. Um, so yeah, it's like it's weird to see that dynamic, but yeah. So that's really, and I think that probably will. But even so, it seems like he's maintaining um, a lot of the, from Montana down to Texas, Louisiana, Florida, uh, and South Dakota. Sorry, South Carolina. That kind of like red streak
Yeah, well, I mean, in
through.
Montana, the Republicans aren't going to lose Montana.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All the way through down through there. That big
Yeah,
red chunk, going right through there.
like Tennessee. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so that's pretty solid Trump territory. And what I have been hearing is, but people. This is from a lot of Trump people. What I have been seeing is, Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, uh, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia are tilting red as far as we can see it. They're leaning red. So that would be quite interesting to see. And then perhaps Minnesota and Michigan are leaning more towards Harris.
Well,
So
we can bring those states up now. So which state do you want to look into first? Because yeah, there's essentially, 7 to 8 battleground states, depending on your definition of a battleground state. Yeah, which
yeah,
are North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. Not really Minnesota, but those ones. So out of those states, the only one that Trump won last time in 2020 was Georgia. No, sorry, he lost Georgia. Sorry, North Carolina was the only one of those that he won last time.
Mm.
While the time before that in 2016, where I've got a map for that. So here we go. In 2016, yeah, Trump won Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin. So these were all states that he flipped. And then in 2020, when he was against Joe Biden, he essentially lost all of them except, yeah, North Carolina. So because of that, these, well, at least in the case of like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, they have a very large sort of white working class base. And because that base tilted a little bit more towards Democrat that election,
Mm.
it cancelled out like, we had a couple more base black men vote for Trump or whatever. Like it wasn't really like anywhere even close. Like getting 3% more black votes doesn't mean anything if you lose 1% more white votes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's a real pickle. Yeah. I mean, I hope that doesn't. Somehow, I think just having Harris will kind of put a lot of black men off, and well, probably, yeah.
I think it lost a lot of people off.
Yeah. I think it'll put everyone off. So yeah, I see how close the polling is, and I just like immediately go, yeah, nah. I think probably a lot of it has to do with, we're being unbiased, and it's a lot of typically, how it is that the left wing establishments and media,
Yeah.
yeah, so they tend to be more bullish on the Democrats, and especially on Trump, against Trump rather, more bullish on Democratic candidates than Republicans. But I just, yeah, that is very iffy to me. It's I don't think that's real.
Yeah.
I think he is probably actually in reality. I mean, polling's polling, right? But yeah, in
Yeah. Well,
reality,
the only numbers that matter at the end of the day are what actually happens on election day.
that's
So.
right. Yeah, yeah. And another thing, if you mentioned if you look at the numbers and the rallies, like it's clear that Trump is very popular. He's getting big rallies, and Harris, I don't think. Have you been looking at many Harris rallies, Hector?
Well, it's apparently one that like Beyonce went to, and then the people started rioting when Beyonce didn't actually like sing or something.
Well, wait, I didn't hear this. As soon as she started singing, they start.
No. They wanted her to sing. They wanted Beyonce. They basically wanted to go to a free Beyonce concert, but because Beyonce didn't actually sing, like a bunch of people were like pissed off because they didn't actually want to listen to Kamala Harris.
Oh, that is so funny, man. That is so. Oh God, I remember that now. I didn't. I didn't.
Well, it didn't
see
happen
it,
that long ago. It only happened like a week or two.
I remember, yeah. Yeah, oh boy, that's fun. So yeah, I mean it's clear, like, and then I've heard like they're paying Harris voters to be there, stuff. So I mean they can put on a show. They can, there are times like at the DNC they can like make appearances. Well, they can turn out like women of various types, and I guess like gay men, which is basically who are like
It's like, who gives a
a
crap
deal.
about Beyonce? It's like,
Yeah, it's like it's kind of, yeah, it's hard for me to imagine how that would shift anybody's
well,
opinion on anything, but for like the for the woman, and the gay males, like, and the brown people, like, I guess that would really like get them going, like, oh, she Beyonce, we got Beyonce, and she, like, yeah, probably, yeah. But so yeah, maybe that would work. But I mean, yeah, but it sounds like they just wanted to go to the free Beyonce concert. So well, were you gonna say something? Sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, like, there's all these endorsements. Like, who gives a crap? Like, at the end of the day, it's like, who
Yeah.
cares who celebrities is voting for what? Like,
Oh,
or what
yeah.
wrestlers voting for who, or something like that. Like,
Yeah,
at
like
the
they
end of the
have.
day, it doesn't really matter if Beyonce's voting for, or, like, endorses Kamala, or like, I don't know.
Mm,
What's the
what,
wrestler that
Don
endorsed?
Cheadle or
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
or
well,
Scarlett
you probably
Johansson.
don't want Hollywood endorsing you, and it's like also
Yeah,
all these Democrats like, oh, we have to get what, like
Liz Cheney.
George Bush to endorse Kamala. It's like, why would you want that?
Yeah. Liz Cheney, right? Dick
Yeah,
Cheney's.
yeah. I don't
Yeah,
think you'd want Liz Cheney's or like George Bush's endorsement. That sounds like
yeah,
something you would want to
the
avoid.
the worst people. Yeah, that you could possibly. Yeah, I mean, that being said, like, bro, an endorsement by Hulk Hogan Like that is kind of cool. Like all
Oh yeah,
those
that's who
other
I was thinking of. Hulk Hogan was the one that endorsed Trump. Yeah.
but yeah, that also like if I was endorsed by Hulk Hogan, I'd be like, yeah, that's freaking awesome. Like that is actually cool, you know? Like all the other celebrities that we mentioned before him though, it's like yeah, it's kind of gay, like it's kind of like you people act, you know, we know you're part of the gay liberal Marxist sort of agenda presenting itself as liberal and gay and stuff and you know, it's like well whatever we do but like yeah, Hulk Hogan and I don't know who else would actually be a cool endorse. Maybe like Sylvester Stallone or something. Like,
Oh,
uh,
I don't know. He's not that cool.
you know? Oh, you don't think so?
No, well, I don't know. I guess there's worse people, but
Okay, you know.
I don't
Okay,
know. I don't really
Hector
trust
doesn't
any of
like
these. I
Syl-
don't trust these Hollywood types, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it's no. You shouldn't. Yeah, as a general rule, guys, like you shouldn't trust anyone. Don't trust anybody. Like that, the first rule in politics. Don't trust anyone. You shouldn't trust anyone. So, but yeah, on that, maybe we should actually, yeah, another second rule of politics actually is personnel is policy. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
mhm,
Well, yeah. Trump's got some interesting people on his team, to say the least. He's got Elon Musk.
mm,
He's got RFK, which is sort of
mm,
interesting, even though RFK's a lot of policies of his are sort of wacky, but at least,
mm,
he was against vaccine mandates and stuff, so he's good
yeah,
there.
yeah. Unfortunately, he's just like a real turbo liberal,
Yeah,
and
he's a
he's all
turbo liberal, but at least he's like against GMO and
yeah. That's good.
vaccines, which is like
That's
a good thing.
refreshing.
Yeah.
That's refreshing to have someone in there who of some prominence in this campaign who's actually uh, saying that because these things were not being said before, and to actually have someone who clearly seems to very much care about that is heartening. Unfortunately, I just don't trust him on anything else. Like he's just really
Yeah,
crap
well, I mean, for
policies.
one point, he wanted to give like reparations to blacks and stuff, so
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
and he's always shilling against like America and the West and
global
very
warming,
pro
like, yeah,
yeah, pro Putin and global warming. Yeah, it's like, yeah, okay. But maybe just talk about the vaccines and the GMO and we can just leave it at
yeah,
that,
leave it at
buddy.
that.
Yeah, yeah. But that being said, I mean, even though we know about the PayPal mafia and these other types who are funny, could you bring up the link in the chat um
Sure.
that I brought up there? Because it's like it's not all you may like our viewers may have seen our interview with Alex Newman, and I think he had a really good defense. When we asked him, Hector, we Trump's, we like Trump and stuff, but he's got all these weird people around him, and of course, personnel is policy, so that's what we're going to get. I mean, we've got Jared Kushner picking his cabinet again, which is terrible, but.
Yeah, not a good sign there.
Which happened before, right? I mean, Kushner was a big part and Trump just I actually don't think he knew, and as he said himself in the Rogan interview, it's kind of hard to pick outsiders when there there aren't really too many there, but
Mm.
and especially when you're being pressured left, right, and center, like yeah, I can sort of see where he's coming from, but even in spite of that, like watch Alex Newman's response. I think he gave a really good defense there. That was cool how he talked to Trump and warned a lot of them. How far that will go, I don't know, but back in 2016, like he Pastor Newman was right. Like he um he was against the UN and stopped a lot of those mandates from going through, just going off raw memory.
Yeah,
And
left the World Health Organization, and
yeah, these communist front organizations, which are destroying not just America, all our countries, and stripping away our freedom, is literally a communist revolution that they're carrying out. But by Martinez clips, we see he did quite a thorough analysis on even in spite of all that, his cabinet and stuff, there's, you can check this thread out of his, but he went through it all, and yeah, I mean, he built the wall, and there was other uh, various deterrents in there to stop illegal immigration, and it had an effect. It had an effect. So if we're consistent on this, we will continue to have effects. We will continue. Um, there will be little wins here. So we've just got to keep it going. We don't really have a choice. But I mean, so this is another sign that it's not all going to go one way. We can't be unrealistic, and it's
Yeah, here's the
at
thing
the
about
yeah.
migration that I found. So
Mm, right. Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah. So
yeah, massive
look,
spike in illegal migration.
yeah, and Harris wants basically open borders. Nonstop, and I think looking at Trump, then now the problem, of course, is legal immigration, and
Yeah, of course.
yeah, but under Harris, you'd get legal and illegal. So it's just like politics isn't the choice of who's perfect. It's just what can you do basically, and it is voting between the lesser of two. But you've got to take what you've got, and yeah, we're in a bad situation, but we've got to take what we've got and just run with the best options we have, and utilize that to maximize the potential of what we're given, guys. That's all it is. So don't get blackpilled or anything, but that's politics. So yeah, no one's an angel, no one's perfect, but I mean that's just living in the real world. It's like you're not gonna like be born a super Chad. It's like everybody's like it's 170 IQ super Chad. So it's just like it is what it is, guys. So it's just on that alone, I think that's a pretty good foundation. And going off what Newman says and what Martinez is saying, Brandon's saying, it's yeah, there is so it is actually kind of like night and day. Of course, there's still the same establishment forces as we mentioned earlier. It's like the Israeli sort of establishment that seems to be more he seems to be trying to garner more support, behind him there. And then, I mean, at the end of the day, they're both administrations are very pro-Israel, right? But it seems like he's trying to get more support from the Silicon Valley big tech elite, and from the Israeli. He's really chilling for that hard. And Harris is, I guess, she's in a bit of a pickle because she can't really shill too hard for Israel, but she has to kind of at the same time shill just or be just as assuring to the Israeli government, I suppose. And then she has to use the rest of the existing establishment, the left wing establishment, and her Chinese and Russian affiliations, which is the Democratic Party. And if you don't believe me on that, you can go check out Trevor Loudon. Trevor Loudon is a New Zealander like us, and he exposes not only the Democratic Party's communist bloc's affiliations with Russia and China, but also Kamala Harris herself and her mother and father even
Yeah.
are deeply involved with all those Marxist communist movements, which are influenced by the Russian officers and so on. So it's really kind of like it's like the Israelis and big tech, and then the Trump, the Trump administration. Then on Kamala Harris, you've got the Russian Chinese and sort of the what she can dredge of the existing American establishment that goes along with the I suppose what amounts to communist and Israeli influence. But I mean, those interests don't necessarily dovetail completely. I mean, Israel and Russia, of course, as we know, they deal very closely. We just had recently, Israel sold a bunch of rockets to Russia in the midst of the Ukraine war and in the midst of their own war, their own aggressive expansion throughout the Middle East. So I mean that and there's all kinds of data points where you can see this under the table, very dubious, very strange collaboration between Israel and Russia. So that there is not a complete dovetail of interests. They seem like they might be counteracting at times, but really they're in the similar league, right? I mean, heck, if the goal is collapsing the West, let's just put it like that. If the goal is to collapse the West, Russia and Israel are both doing a very good job at that simultaneously. I'll just say that there. But yeah, that's kind of like I think behind the scenes, what we can like confidently say is kind of the background machinations of these two, you know, powers that we're seeing in the U.S. You know,
Yeah.
vying for power in the United States. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's many sort of vested interests, of course, but yeah. So I think that like yeah, as we sort of mentioned before, the swing states are they're the ones you're going to have to keep an eye out for because the other some swing states like Arizona. So if we look at Arizona right now, I'll just bring a couple up: Georgia, North Carolina, and Nevada. So in all like the sort of non
Mm.
in a lot of these, I guess you'd say like southern sort of what would you call them? Like non-Mideastern states. Like pretty much everywhere there's a swing state that's not either like Pennsylvania or Michigan. All of these swing states seem to be leaning pretty heavily trending towards Trump. So in Arizona, in the polls, which were usually underestimates Trump's support, he's up by nearly 2.5% average in Arizona. If we go to Georgia, he's up by again 2.5%, which is a state he lost last time. We go to North Carolina, he's up by 1.5%, which is about what he won by last time. If we go to Nevada, which Trump, hasn't even won yet, he didn't even win this in 2016, he's up again by 1.5%. So it seems like I'd say one of the reasons for this is a lot of these states are quite sort of rural, so they don't have any. Well, they have population centers. I mean, except maybe Nevada. Nevada's pretty centralized. But places like Arizona and Georgia, they don't have the same population centers like Detroit, you know,
Mm.
Milwaukee, Philadelphia. These big states that tend to lean quite liberal. So it does seem like the rural vote is sort of swinging back towards Trump again, I think. And I think if that's a sign, I'd say the white vote, the white
Yes.
rural vote is probably going back towards Trump more so than did in 2020. If that's the case, then there's a pretty good chance like Trump's got this.
Hmm.
So I think that's what these, Trump winning in places like Nevada and, Georgia, Arizona show is, yeah, rural white voters seem to be swinging more towards Trump again, which is what he needs to win. And then if we look at the other swing states where it's either pretty tied or even sort of leaning towards Harris a little bit, so Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. So these are, the Midwest, states where a lot of them are quite urban. You've got these big urban centers, but there's a large minority base there, but there is still, majority white states, 60, 70% white. So it's sort of interesting to see what will happen there. So in Wisconsin, the average has, it's basically tied. Harris is up by 0.3%, which is basically nothing. Like, it's
Hmm.
essentially tied in Wisconsin according to the polls. In Michigan, Harris is up by nearly 1%. And
Hmm.
in Pennsylvania, yeah, it's essentially tied again. Trump's up by nearly half a percentage point. So these states are pretty much dead tied in the polls. But then again, if the polls underestimate Trump, which I actually think there's a pretty high chance they will again,
Hmm.
that you might actually see Trump win these states by a percentage point of 1 or 2%. If
Hmm.
there's even like a little, even if it's just a little 1 or 2% underestimation, that's enough to like bring him over because it does seem like Trump, at least in my opinion, in 2024, the Trump campaign has a lot more energy than they had back in 2020. I think that's also part of the reason why they
Yeah.
lost is
Mm.
it just wasn't the same. While 2024 seems to have a similar sort of energy back to 2016 where
Mm.
you had the Trumpomania or whatever the heck you want to call it
Yeah. Mm.
start, while
Yeah.
2020 was sort of boring.
Mm. Yeah, no, I think there's a real sense of, after 4 years of Biden-Harris administration, there's a real sense of desperation amongst many Americans that, we have to get this right. So much of what we're seeing is real insanity. And I think that's warranted. And what the Republican sort of conservative media, especially the alternative media, has done very well is sort of capitalize on a lot of those fears and a lot of what is happening real time with the Darien Gap and the immigration
Yes.
and yeah, especially that, especially and the crime and the riots and so on and so forth. They've done a real good job at that, and we've never had that before. That there's never been quite this level of instant non-stop
Well, stuff like the
internet
border,
coverage.
stuff like the border was just like as soon as Biden and Harris got in, like the
Mm,
border was just wide open again. It was sort of
that's right.
insane.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and that they were flocking. All those caravans were like all of a sudden just from the Soros Foundation. That they just all of a sudden prepared and yeah, were directed right in. Really directed right in by border guards, and they couldn't do nothing. So yeah, it's so I think there's a real sense of panic amongst a lot of people that we have to get Trump in.
Yeah,
We
well, I
we
mean,
have
if you just look at like
mm,
like look at this, is the country on the right track or wrong track?
mm,
We look at this, like it's a pretty big gap,
oh yeah.
36% gap
Mhm.
between people that think the country's in the right track. And I wonder who these like 26% of the population that think what what the current administration's doing is good. Like, who
Yeah.
are these people?
Oh, it's all Cheney and Bush and the Clinton
I actually
donors.
sort of wish that George Bush would endorse Harris because I think that would just be like a massive, like, that would probably be such a detriment. I'd like barely be able to believe it if that happened.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah. But I mean, to them, that's just a signal that it's all go for globo homo. So, um, but yeah, I mean that's quite stark. I don't know how they can really handle this. So, I mean, sometimes I mean, what do you think about them putting Harrison to like fail? Do you think
Well, I don't
that's
think that was the truth because they were really trying to, prop her up. They were trying to do the same thing as like with
mm,
Jacinda. They were going to go, oh look, we've got the sassy
yeah,
woman, the sassy
yeah.
girl boss in charge. Well,
Mm.
imagine that. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, just like yeah, just
Just
like
like
Jacinda
Ardern. Yeah.
And Trudeau as well. Like, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean
too
Trudeau is
sassy.
also a sassy girl boss. That is true.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's
It's sort
kind
of
of,
like the worst of all of them. That's sort of what Harris is. Like the worst of Trudeau combined with like the worst of Jacinda.
yeah, 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 it's not good. Yeah, and she is openly, yeah, just very anti-American. And I mean, you saw what she did on Columbus. You saw her, saying, what did she say? She said like, I can't even remember, but it was like, "Oh, you have to apologize for Columbus Day," or something like that.
Yeah,
And then
some random nonsense. It's like
you had
how's anyone voting for this person? It's nuts.
yeah, yeah, that I mean, that is a
How
real
are
kind
people
of
that aren't like
ballsy.
sassy black women voting for Kamala? I don't really get it.
Yeah, and then you had Biden calling, Trump supporters garbage
Well,
people.
that just echoes when Clinton called them all despicable or whatever.
So
Except even
it's
worse.
yeah, yeah, that's really again very yeah, real front. But yeah, that really just shows that they can't hide their contempt for and I don't doubt that there are a lot of Republicans feel that way. I mean, Republican Party is made up of Cheneys, the Bushes, the so on and so forth. We all know the neocon types, but also again something to just mention on the side, like again with the Trump administration, they seem through Kushner and others, they seem to have actually blocked the Project 2025 people
Yeah,
from
which would actually be sort of good. Like, oh, it's
oh
like, oh no, these people want to get communists out of positions of power. It's a threat to our democracy. It's like time to stop being ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's the real problem of this campaign being co-opted, and it's a real issue. We could really use, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh no, communists, and oh, actual good, immigration policy that actually protects America.
Yeah,
But you can tell these people are just have really alternative, and these are all the Trump loyalists. These are the people who are loyal to Trump from the get go, and who really supported him for being who he was in 2016. So this is like a real crisis of power
yeah,
that's occurring right now, and it's like somehow they've got to get people like this in, to the fore. I'm not sure how they can do it, but it's just like, like one thing's clear to me: get those people out and get those Project 2025 people in. Like that, that's just what has to happen. I mean, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Um, but yeah, yeah. So we kind of got a bit of track here, courtesy of me. So where should we
I want to talk. I think we should look a bit more into the early votes.
Okay.
So this election cycle, Republicans are overperforming in the early votes, which has not really happened since, I don't know, at least since 2016. Democrats have always had a, you know, 8 to 10% lead in party registration by mail-in votes returned.
Mhm.
And if you look at states like Nevada, which are a swing state, you've got Republicans ahead. I mean, I think last time, if I bring up Nevada for 2020, which I've got right here, last time around, Republicans were down by 4%, and now they're winning in party registration
That's right.
by 4%. So it's a complete flip.
Mm.
So yeah, it looks like Republicans are, trending upwards in places like Nevada. I think they're trending upwards in places like Georgia, where they're ahead. I think last
Mm.
time, if I bring up where they were last election, so this is the current election, they are at 48% to 45 in Georgia. I just need to find they're a different website, so I just need to find where they were last time.
Mhm.
GA. So last time,
Mhm.
early votes. Oh, I don't think Nevada, they not keep it. All right, I can't see what their results were for early votes returned in 2020, unlike Nevada. But I don't know. I mean, Republicans are ahead there, so most of the time Democrats are. In
Yeah.
places like Michigan, the Republicans are just behind Democrats in early votes. Same in places like Florida, where they're expected to win.
Well, in
So,
Nevada, could I just add that appears Clinton won by like two nearly 3%. She won by 47.9, and Trump had 45.5. So and then Biden, the following cycle, um, he got 50.1 supposedly, but Trump got 47.7. So that's like, pretty and what are we at now with Nevada? Sorry, Victor?
for the polls,
Yeah, yeah.
here we are. This is Nevada. The Trump's up polling average by 1.5%.
Okay, so there you go. So not only are we seeing a recession in the Democrat support, but it's actually up 1.5, and as you say, accounting for, you know,
Yeah, underrepresentation by
that's right.
Trump in opinion polling, which has happened the last two elections, which seems like it probably will happen again this election. I mean, maybe it won't, but it seems
Mm,
likely that that will happen again.
I think
So
so.
yeah,
Yeah,
if that happens again, then it's basically going to be a Trump landslide because he's actually sort of up in a lot of. This is the highest he's ever like polled in opinion polling in a lead up to an
mm,
election. He didn't poll this high leading up to 2016. Definitely didn't poll this high leading up to 2020.
mm.
And
Let me ask you a question, Hector, and of course, if you don't know, it's fine. I should have been on top of this, but ever since we saw the big, election goof that was the Biden, he goofed his way into power,
yeah,
um, or stole his way into power. Um, did you see any evidence or any signs or any movements of like Republicans or conservatives or right wingers being mobilized by this to get into like election counting or electioneering, or did that mobilize? Because I just want to, I didn't really pick up. I think there was a great mobilization by a lot of people. A lot of people are obviously in a state of desperation and panic right now, but I wonder if that translated into them getting more involved in being involved with the voting counting and stuff like that, in which case there would be more I guess authenticity to this election coming up. Do you see what I'm saying?
yeah. I see what you're saying, and I'm not sure if there was. I mean, if there was,
Yeah.
I haven't really seen much evidence of it.
Because yeah, that's the kind of thing. Like we can, like it is looking. I can see why people are bullish for Trump, and with all things being equal, it's like, yeah, I can see that. I get you. Like I can definitely see, yeah, all things considered equal, where things are going. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, okay, but the last one, we saw what happened. They just took it. They just rigged it, right? So it's like, what did we do? Like I saw the My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell, actually trying to put measures into maybe not prevent it, but to expose it. Like he got the video cameras that uploaded directly to the internet. I'm not sure if he did anything since then, but it's like, yeah, you would hope that like some like genuinely Trump loyalist conservative people actually got involved in these, especially in places like the Wimper, excuse me, the Wimper states like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and others. You would hope that they got involved there and are more prominent to stop this stuff. Because I mean, there was outright like bully behavior and stuff and threats when that was, and then ridiculous thing like people were threatening people to like say no, you can't. But question this and look into the and then so there were testimonies there and then yeah, oh a water pipe burst, so it's just like ridiculous excuses like that. So it's just like, I mean, okay, like we can deliberate all day, but maybe people in the chat, maybe if you can fill us in, but it's like what are we what are we actually get doing to what
To
is the
stop it happening again, yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean,
right,
this
what is
happened
it
while Trump was like president. That all the shenanigans were able to happen under his
yeah.
watch. So
That's right. And I mean, I guess it's just gonna if nothing has happened, and Chad, if you know something, maybe fill us in. Um, but I mean, it's just like I guess basically Trump supporters are just gonna have to like camp out and just make sure no wheelbarrows of votes kind of because that's what we saw what they did last time, right? Unless they outright like hack it. I guess it's not connected to the I mean, they can do funny things. I was gonna say it's not connected to the Wi-Fi. Supposedly it isn't, but yeah.
well, voting machines are just sort of
Mm,
sus anyway. Because I think even back in
mm,
like two, 2000, like
mm,
people were going to these voting machines in Florida and like uploading viruses and stuff to them. So on
God,
like USBs. So
yeah.
these things have always been like dodgy, and people I don't know how they still use them. It's
Mm,
just a
yeah, it's a real battlefield. I mean, I guess that is the reason up until like why they are using them is because they can be messed with, and if the establishment doesn't like what it sees, then they can. But maybe that's a poor excuse. I don't actually know, but yeah, but yeah, no, it's like yeah, it's silly, isn't it? Like why would we still be doing it this way? But in any case, it's what we've got. So yeah,
yes.
I just want to put that out there that it's like yeah. So the only way I can see it is Trump supporters literally camp out and like, prevent people from bringing shopping trolleys and loads full of ballots and um, but yeah so anyway so it seems like back to what you were saying, Hector, it seems like in all these 7 or 8 battleground states that yeah the general sort of trend,
Yeah, and a
if
lot
you
of them,
will
like
is
Georgia, Arizona, it seems pretty
mm,
certain. Like, pretty
yeah
likely Trump's going to win those. Nevada seems pretty likely. North Carolina seems pretty
mm,
likely. The ones that are more up for debate, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And
mm,
Trump just needs to win one of those. That's the thing. Like, if he wins all those other swing states, and then just wins Pennsylvania, for example, he doesn't have to win Michigan. He doesn't have to win Wisconsin. I mean,
mm, mm, yeah
there's a path to victory with either three of those. So
yeah yeah it's very unlikely that I think she does need Minnesota and she does need Michigan, but yeah, even then, it's going to be kind of hard for her, I think, especially if yeah the other 5, 6, trend, and they do seem to be tilting towards Trump. So it's really, I kind of think it's really up to Pennsylvania, and at least in terms of rigging, people really, I think, need to be concentrating their sights on Pennsylvania. That's 19 electorates, and yeah, she needs Minnesota, Michigan, Michigan, and then Pennsylvania as well, I think.
yeah.
And but yeah, Trump. As you were saying, yeah, Trump only needs like one of them and Pennsylvania. Is that what you
Oh, he
said?
needs one of them plus like Georgia and
Yeah,
Arizona,
yeah, right, right, and
which
they
seems
both.
likely he'll win. Yeah, it seems likely he's going to
Yeah,
win Georgia and Arizona.
Oh, both. Yeah, that's right. They're definitely tilted that way, and yeah, Texas and Florida is very strongly that way as
Yeah,
well.
I think they're definitely going to. Well, very highly likely that Florida and Texas are going to be both Republican, as
Yeah.
Ohio and Iowa, these sort of former swing states that have gone more into the Republican
Mm.
camp, while Texas is going more towards sort of Democrats, and that's also sort of shows why Democrats need to stop mass migration. It's like, what are they going to do once like
Mm.
there's all these illegal immigrants giving amnesty in Texas? I mean, the Republicans aren't going to win there again, and then what's their
Mm.
path to the presidency after that?
Yeah. No. There basically is. Yeah. No, I don't know what you do in terms of because then you need to like basically you need to become like a Democratic Party, but yeah, I don't know what you do actually. It's an interesting, but hopefully it doesn't get to that point, of course. But because so this really could be.
Well, it might if Kamala gets in and then gives all these illegal immigrants that Joe Biden lets in amnesty, which it seems like she wants to do. So
Yeah. Oh, that is yeah. She is gonna Zerg rush America with Zerglings and just give Zergs the vote. I probably shouldn't say that actually. We're on YouTube, but it's just joking. Yeah, but she'll give the Zerg rushers a vote and yeah. So that's yeah. So but basically what we're seeing as a trend is yeah, it's in all the states, even where they were previously won, it seems like we're getting a flipping to the Republican to Trump, where so we're it's like a double whammy. They're receding in their votes and what they won before, and Trump is also gaining. They're receding, Trump's gaining, and yeah, and pretty much all of them basically from or most of them. Um,
yeah,
that's a bit grug, but
yeah.
of an
Well,
explanation. Well,
definitely for the
grug explanations are the best. Sorry, go ahead.
definitely for the polling. But then again, I think there's a
Mm,
good chance the polling's underestimating Trump again, like they
that's
did the
right.
last two times. So if the polling's underestimating Trump, then basically it seems like he'll probably win every swing state and he'll be fine.
Yeah. Do you think another just little tangent, and we won't go too deep, but of course, we've got the Israel influencing 2016. Um, do you think this with Zuckerberg, Vance, Thiel, Musk behind Trump? Do you think that is potentially maybe just an interesting, just thought experiment, whatever? Do you think that's like kind of potentially like a blockade against any potential rigging that could occur, since they're like, in the tech kind
Uh,
of sphere? But
maybe.
yeah, but probably doesn't really work that way. Like it's
Well,
not.
I mean, I don't see
Yeah,
how being in the tech sphere can protect you
yeah,
against like messing up mailing voting. So,
that's right. Yeah,
I mean,
that's.
and I don't think Dominion's related to like Elon Musk or whatever, these Dominion voting machines that seem
Mm,
to always
mm.
have these glitches. And whenever a glitch happens in these Dominion voting machines, it always seems to favor the Democrats, like every single time.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, we do see like the media, what is left of this. However, the establishment is evolving now, wherever it's at in its evolution, amidst potentially a Trump blowout. Like it is still very much, very very anti-Trump and very very pro Democrat, pro left, pro Kamala. So yeah, that's yeah, fair enough. I would agree with that. It's not really related, and I don't think they'd have really anything to do with that, or yeah, or nothing that I can remember or have seen that that kind of group or circle of people would have any influence on. So yeah, it's a but yeah, let us know what you think in the chat, everybody. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So mm,
It does look like in a lot of states. I mean, I think in Nevada and places like Pennsylvania, like registration for the Republican Party is outpacing growth in the registration from the Democrat Party, which is a good sign because that sort of shows that the Republican Party has more energy because more people want to join the party, right?
mm,
So,
mm. Especially
yeah,
like among I think young people and
yeah,
yeah, young men and yeah, I think
yeah, sort of non-college educated whites that usually don't really care that much about politics.
mm,
I mean,
mm,
big untapped voter base there, to be fair.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, there does definitely does seem to be the energy there. Yeah. Seems like they've
I mean,
tried
there
to
is
do
some
as much.
sus. There's already some sus things going on in Pennsylvania. Like if we bring this up,
Yeah. Let's see. I'm interested. Let's
there's
bring that up.
apparently there's apparently issues with voter fraud registration going on. So registering people that either don't exist or are like illegal immigrants. So
Mm,
yeah,
mm,
it seems like there's some shenanigans going on in Pennsylvania already.
yeah. I'm seeing stuff from Georgia. That there's some stuff going on there. Um,
But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, hopefully the shenanigans are minimized because it's not during COVID, so I think they have less of an opportunity to just mess things up as much, I guess.
mm,
So,
mm.
but we'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, they could create, COVID was like a terror event basically, where they really banked on people's fear. I guess there's no reason why even during the election they couldn't, especially with Christopher Wray, the FBI director, warning about terrorists
Hmm.
coming through the border. There's no reason why at a moment's notice they could activate their terror cells. That seems like they've got it through all these immigrants from China and Iran and Chechens and stuff. So I guess that's something to be aware of. Yeah, when will they activate them? I don't know. Could be whenever, but that's something to be. Yeah, if they do that, and they might, you know, and that could be a pretext for that. Yeah.
And one thing I think could potentially be a factor as well in the 2024 election is that like the Libertarian Party support has basically disappeared. So I wonder if a lot of that support will end up going towards the Republicans, or they just might stay at home. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question because you remember. That's a really good question actually because remember Trump visited the Libertarian conference
Yeah, and they were
and
like
he.
full of drug addicts being like, "We need this drug dealer that was selling crack to be out of prison or something." Like that was like their
Yeah,
main that was like their main grievance with Trump was like he wasn't letting crack dealers out of prison and like
yeah, that was.
legalizing every drug.
Yeah, that was so dumb, man. And that, it's like, yeah, and they were booing him and like attacking him and stuff. It's like I think that was La Savita and Susie Wiles when they that was when they were in power and the guy with the Polish last name wasn't
Hmm.
got his name, but yeah, like yeah, it's like man, what a terrible idea that was. That really did not look good, and they did that to him again, actually. So yeah, it's like you'd think they would go Republican, right? But it's like I don't know about these libertarian types.
Yeah,
They
maybe
seem
like comes to some sort of agreement with Trump, like sort of like Kennedy did, like we'll support you if you get one
yeah,
of our guys in
yeah,
cabinet or something.
yeah, yeah. Maybe yeah. I think they probably would.
And I think Trump would probably be open to it, but it seems like the Libertarian Party's just sort of retarded, so they
Yeah,
did do that.
yeah, pretty much yeah. So yeah, they yeah. Well, that's
Well, I
silly.
think this showed because I don't think the Libertarian Party is getting more than 1% of support this election, which will
Yeah.
probably help Trump, but who knows?
Yeah, could do. Yeah, they probably did go all the way to. Yeah, I mean the Elon Musk thing, right? I mean that would have really appealed to them. And
Yes, I probably it would have.
well, my Digicoins, my
My
Yu-Gi-Oh.
doggy coins, my Yu-Gi-Oh
Yeah,
coins, or whatever it was. Yeah.
yeah, I can see the libertarian soy facing out now. Uh, no, I'm sorry. If you're a libertarian, um, I didn't mean
Well, I
that.
mean, there's nothing wrong with libertarian ideology. It's just the Libertarian Party in America is sort of retarded. So
Yeah.
if they played it strategically, they probably could have got like at least one cabinet member in Trump's
Mm,
cabinet. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, and I mean, like as a general,
maybe got a congressman or two where they would get like an endorsement from the Republican Party or something. Like
yeah,
sort of
mm,
if they played
yeah,
it smart, that could have happened years ago. But I don't think they ever
mm.
did.
If they were smart,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Funnily enough, it is kind of like turning into a libertarian themed. Like, yeah, you got Musk and Vance, and they're just like, oh, bring them all in, bring all the who's in from all over the world,
Yeah.
and yeah, they can put them in big tech, and it's like, yeah, it is kind of like libertarian sort of themed or structured campaign with Musk and Vance, and the influence there. So hence again why Project 2025, John McEntee and these great people, why we've been loyal since the get go. Why they need to somehow find a way in and. Yeah, I mean, somehow I think they've really got to get the Trump supporters more radicalized than ever before. They have to reach out to them while simultaneously trying to get into these places of influence. Because the Trump supporters and American people really need now more than ever before need to show that they're fed up and it's never going to be good enough. That this until we achieve what we want for America and therefore the rest of the West. So it's yeah, they've got to mobilize the Trump base to become more radicalized, to demand more from the Trump administration, and potentially kick people out, and just to get these Project 2025 people
Yeah.
in.
I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like this election, at least from what I'm seeing, I mean, obviously we're not on the ground in America, but it does seem like the Republicans have more energy than the Democrats this
Mm,
election. And that's sort of a
mm,
repeat of what happened with Hillary, where
yeah.
Trump obviously had a lot more energy than Hillary and ended up like winning it in, well, not
I
quite a
just.
landslide, but by a pretty good margin when you consider the states he won. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And how much how much confidence and this kind of material stuff they invested into the Clinton campaign, and boy, we dodged a bullet there. Um, but yeah, I just hope they don't go to sleep, but maybe they won't because there's been so much trauma in this country over the whole world that it's like I think people have become radicalized and mobilized against this. I mean, it's hopefully people have it in their minds that it's a mad rush to total power, you know, and we need a clean sweep, and hopefully people keep battling it out. So yeah, to maintain an ongoing paradigm of right wing growth in the United States, genuine right wing growth. But so many strange people like like the BAP network. But yeah, so where else do you want to go with this? What else should we?
I think we've covered a lot of it. Anything else you want to cover? Do you want to cover that thing where like the media was saying that Trump wanted to kill Liz Cheney because we are talking about Liz Cheney earlier? I don't know if you had heard any of that.
I heard about it, but I didn't realize. I didn't look. So what did he say? He said he wanted to.
No,
He wanted.
no. They basically said because Liz Cheney wants to send people to all these war zones. He's like, oh, well, why doesn't she like grab a gun and go on the battlefield and have a gun
Oh,
pointed at her? And then like literally had like CNN anchors going like, he wants to kill Cheney. He threatened to kill her. It's like, well, no, he threatened to kill her, send her to a war zone, which is what Cheney wants to do with like hundreds of thousands of Americans. So
is that the clip? Is
I have to find the clip. I was looking at it
maybe
earlier.
you maybe you find it. I'll just talk. But that's or do you think we can play that on YouTube?
Oh, maybe not if it's from CNN, so maybe not. But you
Oh,
sort of get
okay.
it. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, there's just sort of that. It's just like that was just sort of ridiculous. So I wonder who actually like falls for this stuff.
So what did he say? He said she should. Oh, Trump fantasizes about putting Liz Cheney in front of a fire. Oh shit!
Yeah, that's the thing. He didn't say that. He just said she
Rolling.
should.
Yeah, sorry.
He didn't say she should be put on a firing squad. He's saying that she should be sent to a war zone because she's always shilling for like America going to like fight in Syria and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Well, maybe she should. I mean, maybe if she's so enthusiastic about war, maybe I mean, at least McCain. Apparently he ejected himself from like a helicopter or a plane, and then he didn't. He like broke both his legs when he landed,
Yeah.
um, like a banana split or something. But he I guess at least he kind of
He at
was in
least was like
Vietnam.
he was in Vietnam, but
Yeah,
Liz
complete
Cheney definitely wasn't.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, yeah. I mean, Yeah, I kind of. Yeah. It's like why are you so keen on just these endless wars, Cheney? What's going on there, bruh? But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
But yeah, I think that's sort of it. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
maybe we should start talking about telling people, about the November 6th for us. And
Yes.
yeah,
Do we have that
okay,
post by
yeah,
Victor?
Victor, yeah, on our profile. If you just scroll down a little.
Yeah, I'll bring it up. So, for those that don't know, for those watching the replay, be sure to check into our November 5th / November 6th live coverage of, there we go, I'll make it full screen,
Yeah, do that.
of
Yeah.
the US presidential election. I'll be there. Gilbert will be there. We'll be having special guests. Intriga Tropical and Emmett Connor, returning guests, will be joining us on the panel. We may have other people coming and leaving. We'll basically be here all day. We'll start when the voting counts, and we'll finish when it finishes, which might take 5 hours. It might take 10 hours. Who
Mm,
knows? We're
mm.
both taking the day off work, so we'll be here all day, giving you live updates as the votes roll in. Be
Yeah.
sure to check out the live coverage. November 5th, US time, November 6th, New Zealand time.
It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be really awesome. Yeah, so we're having like Victor or Intriga Tropical and Emmett Connor resolving reality, and we're having some other really big guests actually on that have decided to come on. That they've been really good about it. Returning guests and guests that we haven't actually had on before, and these are there's some big names. So I won't spoil it for anyone, but it'll I think it'll be mainly them talking, and Hector and I will just pose questions and try and orient the discussion. But yeah, we have some really big guests in the national scene, as I said, some returning and some who haven't been on before. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It should be very healthy discussion. We're gonna hear. It'll be interesting because Emmett is actually in Texas, so he'll be able, and he's been really involved in that stuff. So it'll be really interesting to get his perspective. And yeah, looks we'll have another big American. Well, Emmett's
Yeah.
Irish, but we'll have a
I'm
big,
Irish, but living in America.
but living it, yeah. But yeah, that's right. And yeah, some people I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to. So it'll be good. We've got quite a fair few people actually coming on. So yeah, be sure to, all your favorites, guys, all your favorites. So be sure to check us out and share the shares and the likes, and yeah, that all really helps. So
Brucey in chat said
appreciate.
he'll be there, so there you go.
All right, love you,
Thanks,
Brucey.
Bruce.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that's yeah, and thanks for all your support, guys. You know who you are, Brucey. But what are some of the other big ones, Hector?
We got
There's
5 minutes away in chat.
yeah, Kieran, Natai is
Yeah.
on X. He's he's been
Filipino
really good.
scaffolder.
Yeah, Filipino friendly skinhead.
Yeah.
The friendliest skinhead I know. Yeah, well, yeah. Thanks for all your support, guys. It's really good, and we think that you guys you'll like who we bring on, and it'll be a lot bigger. We have kind of like our small community shows, but it'll be like
Yeah.
a
So
club. Yeah.
yeah, well, with the election, we expect the election coverage to get some fair views because our New Zealand election coverage is probably our most successful show we did. So expect this one to be probably even more successful, especially if we're getting on all these amazing guests,
Mm,
new and returning.
awesome. Yeah. So that's all I have to say about that, and I think you guys are gonna like it, and hopefully with so many strong personalities, I hope it all goes swimmingly. I'm sure it'll be fine. We're all men, so
Brucey said it took a month last time to count the votes. Yeah, so we'll be streaming for a month straight if they don't declare a winner.
that's one.
Me and Hector, me and Gilbert will be taking shifts.
Yeah, that's yeah. We'll have to tell our bosses, and
Hey, they still haven't counted the votes yet. They're gonna have to take another day off work.
yeah, yeah, sabbatical, yeah. But yeah, no. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good, and we hope that we see you all there. hope you bring your friends and family and share us around. And
S.
yeah,
Not says no guests today. No, not today. We're just talking about the US election. But there will be multiple guests on Wednesday's stream or Tuesday if you're in the Western Hemisphere.
Big names, bro. Big names. Yeah, it's actually going to be pretty crowded. Like I'm actually kind of a bit. I tend to overthink things, but I'm.
Was
It's
McGimsey
just going
coming
to be.
on or not? I don't remember.
Yeah, he's looking like. I think he'll make an appearance.
No, there
He
we go.
said he'll make.
McGimsey's coming on, returning guest, another one.
Yeah, but okay, but don't spoil any. I want the next ones to be a secret because.
Yeah, we got some secret big guys
Yeah,
coming on.
that's right. Yeah.
Big
So,
names, buddy. You don't want to miss it. So yeah, but yeah, well, that's sort of our coverage of the lead up to the presidential election. Looked at some polls. The polls are basically tied, but I think there's a fairly good chance that they're underestimating Trump's support again this election cycle, like they did the last two. So it could potentially be a big blowout for Trump. It could win all the swing states, maybe even states people weren't expecting. Maybe he'll win, I don't know, like New Hampshire or something. Who knows? Maybe he'll win, I don't know, Hawaii. I don't think anyone would expect that. Probably won't.
that would be awesome if he won Hawaii. If he won Hawaii and like California, that would be so freaking
Yeah,
awesome.
I have a feeling that probably won't happen, but who knows? Anything could happen, I guess. And maybe even a special guest, the secret guest might even be Trump himself. So make sure you tune in to the November 5th stream.
Yeah. Look forward to seeing you guys there, guys.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Yep, and thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to share your thoughts on the US presidential election and the polls in the comments. Thanks for those that are watching live and those that are watching the replay. Hope you had a great day. Hope you're going to have a great evening and hope you're having a great weekend. We'll see you next time on Wednesday for the big stream. Make sure you mark it in your calendar. And as always, stay blessed, not stressed. See you next time.